عليني والفريقين من قرب ومن عجم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. نبينا الأمير نهي فلا أحد أبر في قول الله منه ولا نأمي. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. نحن في روضة رسول حضور طالبين رضا وحسن قبول. جنة يا خير من إليه الملاذ بانكسار وذلة وذهول. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. فأسن الله فينا كل عناية لننال المنى في وقت الحلول. لقى قدر عظيم ليس يداهى ورسالة فوق كل رسول. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. مدد المدد يا رسول الله اسقينا بالمدد يا حبيب الله. المدد يا رسول الله واسقينا بالمدد يا حبيب الله. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل على المصطفى حبيبنا محمد عليه السلام. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. Inshallah, everyone enjoyed their night and their morning and had a good breakfast. We're going to start with our first session. I want to give one piece of information before we begin. The Remind app is already sending out messages. So you're going to, if you weren't here for the welcome session and you need to know the number for the Remind app, text 81010. 81010, and the message is at SFR 2023. At SFR 2023. And if you have children in childcare, you're going to text the symbol at Maqasid, MAQASID, and the number 1. And if you have children who are between 7 and 16 in the youth program, it's the at symbol, Maqasid, the number 2. The at symbol, MAQASID, Maqasid, number 2. We're going to begin with our first session with Dr. Mazen. And make sure everyone, again, like Sheikh Yahya mentioned last evening, before the class begins, make sure to renew your intention, then renew it again midway, and then again at the end, so we can remain in the same state, and inshallah you all benefit. Barakallahu feekum to Dr. Mazen, and inshallah I'll see you soon.
Bismillah. Okay, thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين وحبيب رب العالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. آمين رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning. It's good to be with you all again. Alhamdulillah. Hope you've all had a safe journey here. We ended up driving last minute from Chicago. So we got in at like 2. So if my voice is a little bit hoarse, forgive me. Inshallah, it'll warm up as we get going. Out of curiosity, how many of us were here last year? Raise of hands. Okay, about half. Alhamdulillah. So I'll be mindful of that. I do have a lot of this material that is a continuation of a lot of what we talked about last year, but I'll try to refresh and bring people up to speed as we go, inshaAllah ta'ala. Oftentimes when we travel, the bodies move faster than the souls. It can take us a few hours or days even to land. So maybe we can just take a few minutes all together, and in aid of me also landing, to just orient ourselves, inshallah ta'ala, to the space and where we're at. It is Tuesday, August 8th, 9 a.m. Eastern. We're at camp, thank you, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. We're at camp Wakwak. At the Al-Maqasid Family Retreat 2023. You are here with brothers and sisters, family and friends. We have esteemed teachers with us, alhamdulillah. We're here with intention. What is your intention for being here? What is your intention for taking time, a whole week out of your busy, busy lives to be here? You could have been anywhere, and yet you are here. How amazing. And you've flown, and you've driven, and you've taken trains and planes. And as the soul catches up to the actual physicality, which is here now in this physical space, what do you find yourself? What do you find yourself with? Take a moment. If you like, I invite you, close your eyes. This won't be a whole long meditation, but I just want you to tap into something. What is the state? You know, we often say colloquially, كيف الحال? What's the hal? What's the state? But we don't really mean it in the way that it's supposed to be meant. Hal is supposed to be the presence of the soul throughout every dimension of being. And there's a type of like holistic crystallization of that state. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow in the language of the hukama and the physicians. But the state is this embodied, holistic state of ruh, jism, nafs in every moment. So, كيف الحال? What are you feeling? Tired? Excited? Looking forward? Eager? Nervous? A lot of social engagement. Maybe some people get anxious around other people until they get warmed up. Maybe some people are like really excited and don't want to sit still. They want to actually talk to people. They don't want to actually go in. All sorts of people here. Just kind of noticing what's here. And you can be with whatever is coming up. There's no need to change anything. There's no need to fix anything. There's no need to take anything from one state to another. It's sufficient just to be with what is for now. So of my colleagues, we call it be with Allah and be with what is. Just to be. And that is something that is lost upon so many of us as modern human beings. How to be. We know how to do, we're very technically skilled, we know many things, we know the relationships of things, we can navigate them, we can modulate them, we can temper them, we can amplify them, we know how the world works in some way. But do we know how we work? Do we know how we can be at our best, at our optimal? We have the guidance, you see, we have everything that we need. So where is it being lost in translation? Because we follow the Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he sent us the perfect message. And the message has a map, and it has a legend, and it tells you everything that's on the map and how to interpret it. And if not, you go to these people that Allah sent with the guidance and the tools to be able to understand things. Thank you. And yet, why are we not making sense of it? Of course, alhamdulillah, I think that we are making sense of many beautiful things and that we're not lost. But we're talking about the leading edge. How do we get to where we're trying to go? How do we get to ihsan? Ihsan not only spiritually, but also in a physical, emotional, psychological, relational capacity. This is why I've called this class embodying hikmah. Embodying hikmah. Hikmah, of course, is the Arabic word for wisdom. But it's also the term that Muslim physicians use to describe their field. The Hakim is the person who understands applied wisdom, at least in the world, the relationships of things and how to bring things into balance in the context of the human being. So embodying hikmah is coming back to this understanding of we have the knowledge and we have the wisdom, we have the light. Can we illuminate our rooms, our homes, our hearts? Can we bring it in? Can we apply it? That's always the most scary thing, especially for people like me right now sitting up here talking about stuff like this. It's like, are you applying what you're teaching? Because if not, that's bad news for me. And that's bad news for all of us, regardless of wherever Allah put us. And at minimum, we're Muslim and we know. So how do we come to be? So inshallah, over the course of the next few days, we'll be covering themes of what it means to be and how we can begin to think about these things in a different way and apply them in a different way to ultimately be with them in a different way. Inshallah ta'ala. How many of us are familiar with Sayyidina Naqib al-Attas? Anybody familiar with him? Really interesting. He's one of the Sayyids of the Nusantara region in Malaysia. He's a professor there of Islamic studies and philosophy. And he has written a multitude of books, which I believe are very insightful in the sense that they cover this holistic vision of Islam and then are able to pinpoint things that are off, that are stale, that are off the tracks. And one thing he says that basically the crisis that we're in is a loss of adab. Now, when I say that, what do you think? Saying please and thank you and kissing hands and deferring to other people and making yourself small and shy, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It can be a bad thing if someone's constitutionally always doing that. Someone's always looking down on themselves, always collapsing themselves. It's not adab anymore, it becomes something else. But he's talking about adab in the real sense. Adab meaning where things go, a knowledge and an intuition about how things ought to be in the world. How to be and how to be in relationship with things, because the deen is mu'amala. The deen is mu'amala, as the Prophet ﷺ said. The deen is relational. So we have to understand the relationships of things. It's not enough to be an island. No man is an island. It's not enough to be on your own, in and of yourself, consumed with your own wants and needs, or your own spiritual development in a silo. It's not the middle way. Our way is relational. And that's what most, if not all, the Sharia really is trying to put structure around, healthy structure to optimize the relationships of things. Because in reality, everything is connected. Everything's connected. Tawheed, la ilaha illallah. There's one God, there's one creator to everything. The fabric of reality is one. You are one, Allah is one. And we have to live in that oneness. And we have to cultivate an experience of that. Whatever is our part of that. And then Allah gives gifts. And this Allah's affair. But we are unified. We are muwahhidun. We make things one. And so we see diversity and multiplicity. We see a fragmentation in the world. We see a fragmentation inside of us. And we seek to bring in Islam, to apply the medicine. What is Islamic medicine? People always ask me, what's Islamic medicine? And my teacher Hakim had the best answer for it. He still says it. He says, Islam. Islam is Islamic medicine. The whole thing. Islam, Iman, Ihsan. The whole totality. Because we need all of that. That's the full medicine. It's the full potency. That's what addresses the jism, the body. That's what addresses the nafs. That's what addresses the ruh. Everything is touched and optimized and balanced when you apply Islam, when you prescribe Islam and you take the medicine properly. It's already dosed out. 5 prayers, a month of fasting, 2.5% zakat, all that's already prescribed. Even that language is used. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam. It's prescribed for you. But can we take it? Can we apply the medicine? And expand it to the other aspects that are not maybe worship-based, that are more relational, that are more health-based, like our relationship with food, for example, which can be a difficult one for Muslims, My teachers, he said once, the Muslims, we don't drink and we don't smoke, but boy, we can eat. We like to eat. So there's something about that, right? It's like, that's where that passion, that's where that gnawing desire for consumption is applied. It's the same thing. We can almost feel the itch of the addict in these things. Even though it's halal, alhamdulillah, there's no ithm for having that extra piece of whatever. But is there a cost? Yeah, there'll still be a cost. So this is what we want to talk about, right? It's like, how do we bring things back into balance again, to be fully human? To be fully human, right? There's one of these statements, and I think I probably mentioned it last year as well, but I'll mention it again as a reminder and for the new people. It's like, to be fully prophetic. This is from Raghib al-Isfahani, rahimahullah. To be fully prophetic, you must first be fully human. That's what he said. To be prophetic, you must first be fully human. And who were the most balanced humans? Well, Ibn Khaldun in Muqaddimah says that the most balanced, healthy, most fitri people are the Bedouin Arabs. The Bedouin Arabs. Why the Bedouin Arabs? Why are they the healthiest? Because they were the most, if you just zoom out and just look at their situation. They live in the elements, rough terrain, and they've adapted. Everything's minimal. Everything's minimal. There's no plenitude of anything there. They have their needs sufficed. And specifically talks about the nomadic Bedouin, not just the sedentary Bedouin in the cities, the nomad, the one who has no home, who's traveling on camelback and sets up tent wherever Allah puts him. And the canopy of stars is the roof, and the sand is their floor. And they're present in their bodies because they have to be to watch out for enemies and highway robbers and scorpions. And so their senses are acute. They can pick up tracks, they can smell things, they can see as far as the eye can see. They're fully present and aware. Their food was enough, their water was enough. And one thing Ibn Khaldun says also, they didn't live under government. They were free men. There's no government, for better or for worse. Now we believe in good, healthy government, right? And where is that? But anyways, they were free men. No one to tell them what to do, how to be, not to be. They were usually armed, strong, right? So that was the embodiment of the fitri man, capital M, men and women. That's the embodiment of fitri man. And they were the most receptive. Allah chose them to be the recipients of the nur of the Prophet ﷺ and his message, and to carry it and to spread it to the ends of the earth and through the reaches of time until today we have Islam because of them. So who were they? Very interesting. If you study the Sahaba and the different personalities of the Sahaba, they were different people. But one of the things is that you can see that they were strong, they were sentient, they were present, they were emotional, they were fully alive. Fully alive. So, We have a ruh, we have a jism, we have a nafs. When these strings are balanced, we have a full human being who's fully alive. That looks different for different people. We have different constitutions or different temperaments. Allah creates in a multitude of patterns and preferences. Allah wills, but He wills us all beautifully. And He distributes things. So some people are more water, to use the language from last year, right? We have the water people. What are the water people called? Anyone? Phlegmatics, good, yeah, the phlegmatics. And then you have the fire people, the cholerics. And then you have the spring people, the sanguines. And finally, the autumn people, the melancholics, right? We have all these people. Allah creates in His diversity. All of them are beautiful and archetypal in their own way. And they have embedded virtues. And they have embedded challenges, vices. And it's a whole kind of opportunity Allah gives us. It's a gift. Life is a gift. How do we thank Allah Ta'ala for the gift of life? Gift of Iman. We can't. Alhamdulillah, we try though. And one of the ways that we try is not just by saying, thank you, Allah, but really actually trying to take the gift and use the gift and beautify the gift, amplify the gift. And that's what we're trying to do, inshallah ta'ala, by embodying hikmahs. Like, how do we take this opportunity that we have? These short years. I'm still in my 30s, but I imagine, I meet with people, as you all do, people in 60s and 70s. Maybe some of you are here now. And it's like, how do you feel? It's like, I feel 30 still. Just my body is kind of not working as much. It's like, what happens? Like, just pass like that. It's amazing. It's like, it's not that long. Even the youth here, it's like, it's not that long. You'll be my age soon, and we'll be their age. Probably even sooner, because time tends to go faster as you age. Allah. So, one of the ways that we can think about optimizing health, and this is where, inshallah, we'll kind of bring it to a head for today, is understanding that we have a ruh, we have a jism. We have a spirit that's celestial, that's otherworldly, and we have a jism that's here. When they come together, your self is formed. Your nafs is formed. Right? And one of the ways I like to think about it is that the more saturation that we have of ruh and body, the more one you are, the more healthy you are, the more embodied and alive that you are, right? Because think of someone who's dissociated. We say this, someone's dissociated, someone's not present, or you're talking to them and you can see they're just like not with you. It's like, hello, come here, be with me now. Maybe your kids do that. Baba, look at this thing. I'm doing my phone or phone call or something. Look at me, look. Be with me. Bring your awareness to me. And then you bring your awareness down. Oh, there you are. Welcome back. Look at this picture of a kitty cat. Thanks, Baba. Beautiful. But what was happening there in that experience for her? She's not seeing us. She's not feeling us, our presence. Where is it? Because there's a lack of saturation, if you will, of the ruh in the jism. We're not in the senses. We're not present with them. That's what present means, present in the body. Present in the body, that's what presence ultimately is. Right? So when you feel someone's presence, you feel like, whoa, like they really see me. Like their eyes go right through me. They hug me from their heart. They said nice words to me. I felt their presence. I felt their love. It's a feeling. Even our language gives it up. We felt something with them. It's a felt sense with them. That's how the Sahaba described feeling with the Prophet ﷺ. He was the most sentient with them, most present. He sat with them. He'd face them, give them eye contact. He'd listen. He'd give counsel or just sit with them, maybe make dua. But he'd be with people. He ate with people. He ate with them. Some of the people, we have people now teaching and all this. They don't eat with their students. It's not the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, It's like they're always in their books, they're always in their houses, and they're not with the people, not with their own students. It's like, the sunnah is suhbah, to actually be with people. That's the sunnah. That's the lost sunnah. We like to call things lost sunnahs. That's a lost sunnah. But this, coming back, saturation of the ruh and the jism, that's what we're interested in. And one of the clues you can find about how to optimize that connection so that there's a deeper connection. Because ultimately it's like you don't even want to feel, I have a ruh and I have a jism. I just am. That's when you know you're balanced. That's when you know you're fully present. Ibn Sina says that there's a secret in the breath, and nafas, which is similar to nafs, which comes out of the integration of ruh and jism, the nafs, the self, right? The nafas comes in from Allah. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. That the original nafkha is a nafkha, a breath of life, of hayat, in its purest form. And so there is something to be said about the breath, the nature of the breath. How many of us are aware of the breath? Take a moment. In with the nose, out with the mouth. Notice the chest expanding, filling with air. Hold it for a second, and then releasing, exhaling. Ideally using your diaphragmatic muscles, which are the muscles kind of in your belly. So when you're breathing in, your belly should move out. And then on the exhale, your belly should come in, push on your lungs, exhale the breath. The breath in spirituality is considered something very important, very central. In some way, our lives are dictated by our breaths, not by anything else, not by time itself, by our breaths, actually. You have a number of breaths that you will have. That's how some of our teachers have expressed time span to us. It's actually not time, it's breath span. And the more present that we can become what some have called Ahlul Anfas. And this is a very high maqam. We ask Allah Ta'ala for afiyah. But to be people of the breaths, ultimately, where you don't forget Allah for even a breath. How are we even supposed to get there? If Allah wills us to get there. If we're not becoming at least mindful somewhat of the breath, of the reality of the breath. Ibn Sina talks about 3 different types of breaths that each correspond with 3 different quwwat, faculties, powers, drives of the body. We have the animal breath, and we have the vegetative breath, and we have the ruhani, the celestial breath. We don't have to get into all of that, but it's understanding that the connection between breath and the ruh is very important. And then bringing that breath and being applied and operationalized through the jism, ultimately, allowing for that deeper saturation. It's the breath. It's the breath ultimately. I mean, you'll go on healing retreats sometimes, or you have people that teach this stuff. And they'll talk about food, and they'll talk about water, and talk about exercise, and talk about sleep, and talk about everything, but the breath. People forget the breath. Which is so interesting. Because the breath tells it all. The Hakims talk about the breathing of a depressed person versus the breathing of one who's in love. The breathing of the child versus the breathing of the elderly. There's all these different qualities of the breath. The breathing of the one who's exercising versus the breathing of the one who's sleeping. There's different types of breaths. You know, even now you have people like Huberman, Andrew Huberman. Anyone know Andrew Huberman? And these like neuro researchers out of Stanford. And even he talks about the breath. And he's doing research, talking about the need for a variety of different types of breaths during the day, depending on the movement of the sun. Where do you get that from? That's really interesting, right? That actually getting out and getting sunlight in your eyes in the morning, like after Fajr, that very early light. He says that light is a very special light that the body, our physiology responds to immediately. And the light at the end of the day, around Maghrib time. And then you have the breath, and the breath in the morning and the breath in the evening also are unique. And he says something like, in the morning, it's good to have a practice where you're taking in 2 breaths like this. That little kick, that double kick of in-breath. Because the in-breath is activating. And the day is starting. It's very young, it's very masculine, it's very conscious, it's very awake, it's jalali, it's doingness. So more inhale. At nighttime, you elongate and slow down the exhale. It's time for sunset, nighttime, rest, recovery, inwardness, letting go, more exhale. So modulating that. And if you want more balanced breath in the middle of the day, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Like when people like draw a square, 4 seconds. You kind of just do that in your mind. You can do that anywhere. You can do that driving. You can do that before or after prayer. I'd avoid doing it in the prayer for obvious reasons, but you can do it before and after, and then getting ready, getting oriented to the prayer. Yeah. But the breath becomes a way, again, by which we saturate. We saturate the ruh and the jism, and that's really what it's about. It's going to bring up a lot of stuff, though, because what happens at the beginning of this process is that we begin to feel, because breath is intimately connected with feeling and sensation. We begin to feel things that we didn't generally feel before, and for reasons. Why would we not want to feel? Why would we not want to feel? Feeling can be hard. Feeling can be painful. Feeling can be overwhelming. Feeling can be scary. There can be a lot of grief in feeling, or anger, scary anger, rage possibly in feeling. So we shut that down by just dissociating and unsaturating from the body, unsaturating from the jism, from the felt sense. That's what we do. All of us are doing that. And there's a natural type of process that happens even in childhood, where the child learns to do that unconsciously, because they have to form a nafs. We have a nafs. No one's going to have perfect one-to-one saturation from birth to death. Impossible. There's no way, because this is the abode of test and tribulation. You're going to have to get scattered, and you have to come back to Allah. You're going to fragment, and you come back to Allah. You come back. You make tawbah. There's no way to be perfect here. You shouldn't want to be perfect. You want to be muhsin, which is you come back. Perfect is neurotic. You know the perfect thing? Perfect. Everything's to be perfectly clean. I can't allow for any deviation from the standard I have in my mind. Right? This is neurotic. I'm not criticizing or pathologizing, but this is oftentimes a pattern, right, we find in people. That's not ihsan. They may think it is. It's not ihsan, unfortunately. Then it's to be supple, to be feeling, to let Allah move you, take you through different stages, different states. Right? Allah, what is it when we were told, if you were perfect, Allah would destroy you as a people. Like if we were perfect, Allah would destroy us and replace us with a creation that was not perfect, that sinned but made tawbah. What? Why would He do that? Because He wants to be known as a tawwab. How can you know a tawwab if you don't make mistakes? If you don't miss the mark? How will you experience al-Ghafir, al-Ghafur, al-Ghaffar? You can't. Allah wants to be known in all His names. And so you have to experience ghafla and the stain and the darkness of sin. And then that remorse and that turning back. All of it. So we can't be afraid of these things. We can't be afraid of our own pain. And also not jumping into the deep end. We want to be also mindful, right? And be careful and get support when necessary. So as a practice, I'll have just a few minutes here. I'd like us all, if possible, to actually stand up and do an exercise. If you'll indulge me. This is a Qigong. I'll frame it real quick, and then we'll rise. So this is a Qigong practice. Anyone familiar with Qigong? Yeah? A few hands? Okay, yeah, mashallah. So with Qigong, what we're interested in is exactly what we're talking about. The saturation of the ruh in the jism, and the movement of flow of qi in the body, which is energy, which is what we call a ruh al-haywani, the life principle, the vital force, whatever you want to call it. It's the movement of the energy in the body that you can begin to feel, actually, just in a few minutes. And the way they do that is through breath and through gentle motions of the body. And there's certain kind of patterns that we can do. Maybe we'll do one or two today, and we can talk more about them throughout the week if there's interest. But basically, I'll rise and demonstrate it, and then you all can, as comfortable as you like, follow along. For the first one, can I, this mic comes with me? Yeah. Bismillah. Okay. So, I'll do it one-handed, but you're going to have to imagine my left hand is being mirrored. Okay? So, the first one's called, actually, if you'd all rise, just do it with me. It'll be a lot easier. Bismillah. The first one is called lifting the sky. That's how they translate it. Lifting the sky. So you want to turn your palm, first of all, stance. Knees should be unlocked, unbuckled. You don't have to like flex, don't do a squat, but don't tighten it, don't close the joint. Keep it somewhat open and bouncy. Okay? Always. That's with anything in martial arts and anything in these types of inner arts. Okay. Shoulders, kind of shake them out a little bit. Okay. Bring your palm inwards. So again, your elbow also should not be locked, open elbow, and your palm should be inward. Okay. And then on the inhale, and it should be so plan for a long inhale. We're moving our hand up like this. All right, and then at the top, we should be kind of the maximum volume of air. And then controlled drop to the side. And then bring it back here with your hand immediately kind of pointing to the middle of your body. And then again. Okay. When you breathe, breathing in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. In with your nose, out with your mouth, okay? So I'm going to put my thing down and we're going to do it together for a bit. Take this with you. Keep in your pocket. Anywhere you are, you can always use this. Before and after prayer, in the mornings, in the evenings. Show this to your kids. Now they're teaching kids yoga and stuff in school. It's not a bad thing. Or meditation. It's not a bad thing. Teach kids how to be with themselves, how to regulate themselves. Self-regulating is a gift that we can teach young people and ourselves. So this is something that we can even start to do every session or end every session with a few minutes, just to be able to reorient, land, and practice this saturation, trying to bring together the ruh and the jism, bring together our bodies, inshallah ta'ala, so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. I'll let you all sit while I speak. To be the best versions of ourselves, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Healthy, strong, supple. Healthy, strong, supple, alive, bright, curious, creative, patient, virtuous. All these things come when that saturation is held. Inshallah ta'ala. Allah barik fikum. Do we have time for questions, or are we gonna maybe one or two questions quickly? No pressure, but one or two questions, and then we'll have time, inshallah. I'll be around. I'll be floating around, and yes. Can we get a mic for our brother Maheen?
Assalamu alaikum, Sidi. So on the breathing exercise, right? I noticed that like I had to take multiple breaths, because is that normal? Like when you're starting out, like I feel like I'm incomplete. I don't even, I'm not even sure I'm getting a full breath inhale. Is that something that just comes with practice, or is there some other condition there?
It definitely comes with practice. We're not used to breathing. And I want you to be more aware, just mindful of your breath throughout the day. Seriously, you don't have to practice this, but just how am I breathing? Because you'll find that you probably are breathing very shallow. You're probably breathing very shallow. No one's really breathing properly. If you watch the breathing of a baby, you'll see a very free-flowing breath, right? And you see the belly automatically will rise and fall in their breathing, right? We don't do that anymore. We breathe like this. If I tell someone, like in clinic, I'll tell people, breathe, take a deep breath for me. They go, all shoulder. You're not supposed to be doing that, right? These are called secondary breathing muscles, right? These muscles up here that lift the rib cage, those are secondary breathing muscles. The main breathing muscle is belly, is diaphragm. Your shoulder shouldn't move, or minimally move. So it's part of the practice, right? We're all in competition, if you will, with ourselves, and we're finding out where we are, and it's all good, right? And inshallah, as we develop that practice, you'll find that we are so resilient. Body is so resilient, even after years of, like, I grew up eating, Arab kid in Indiana, no halal, and halal was like, the Desis were eating zabiha, the Arabs were just eating lahm ahlul kitab, So I'm having Taco Bell and KFC. That's what I grew up on. So alhamdulillah, after I snapped out of it, I had a lot of work to do. But inshallah, the body's resilient. So Allah bless you. Can I get one from the sisters? Is there any questions? Yeah, we have a question. Oh, yeah. The question was, is there a relationship between posture and breath? Absolutely. Yeah. Because one of the ways that, we shut down the breath, and then the body will begin to compensate in different ways to reinforce that lack of breath. So we'll kind of do things like leading forward our heads and collapsing our chest, right? And this is very heavy, If it's not upright, actually puts a lot of strain on the muscles in the back of the neck. So we're doing that, we're collapsing the neck, the chest, and putting pressure on the lungs so they can't expand. We're actually putting pressure, like, don't breathe. Imagine it's like someone smothering you and say, don't breathe. That's what the posture can become like. Yeah. So absolutely. And one of the ways that, if you actually get really into posture is a whole different, madhab of health. It has its own schools and own masters and stuff. And if you learn the Alexander technique, they'll teach you how to sit and stand. You bring a chair. They'll have you on the first day sit and stand up from the chair. And then they'll teach you the whole week just how to sit and stand properly. with proper mechanics and mindfulness and breath and all of that, because we don't know how to sit properly. I mean, it's not very natural to sit in a chair, right? We learn how to do that, and we just learned kind of just by watching people do it. We don't really do it mechanically with ihsan, functionally with ihsan. So posture is a huge thing, yeah? So also being mindful of posture. Just, again, we don't want to necessarily fix anything before we know what we're dealing with. So just become mindful of yourself. How do I usually sit or stand? Do I lean to one side? What's comfortable, right? Is there pain somewhere when I breathe? Is it because I'm, holding position in some way? Why am I holding this position? Why am I even people's eyes give them away? It's like they're always like this. There's a state of fear. There's a lock. I'm locking the breath. I'm waiting. I'm anticipating something happening. So we get locked in, and this is also where trauma comes in and all of that. But posture is very important for sure. Thank you.
Have any time for more questions? Maybe after class you can catch Dr. Mazen and pull him to the